Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we make sense of the confusing world of corporate finance. And today we're diving into OFS Capital Corporation's latest filings to see what's really going on behind the scenes. Now, OFS Capital Corporation is a company that mainly invests in businesses, and they just put out some preliminary numbers for the quarter that ended in June of 2025. Think of it like getting a sneak peek at their report card before the official one comes out, so we can get an early look at how they're doing. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join our Discord channel linked in the description below if you love getting these kinds of insights directly from the source. So what's the big news? Well, OFS Capital released a press release on July 15, 2025, giving us a glimpse into their performance for the second quarter of 2025. This is important because it gives us insight into their operational performance and financial health. Let's talk about their stock for a minute here. Their common stock trades on the Nasdaq Global Select Market under the ticker symbol OFS. This is a pretty significant exchange, indicating a certain level of prestige and liquidity for their shares. On the same market, they also have notes due in 2028, which are essentially a form of debt they've taken on, trading under the symbol of SSH. This tells us they're using a mix of equity and debt to finance their operations and investments. Looking at those notes, the 4.95% interest rate gives us a hint about the cost of their borrowing. For context, interest rates can fluctuate, so this rate reflects the market conditions and OFS Capital's creditworthiness when they issued these notes. The report is signed by Belal Rashid, their Chief Executive Officer. This is standard practice for these filings, confirming the information presented has been reviewed and authorized by the company's top leadership. Now, when we look at these filings, we want to cut through the jargon and get to the heart of what matters. What are the real numbers telling us about OFS Capital's performance? Are they growing, shrinking? Are they making smart decisions? This section is where they talk about how the company is doing financially. It's essentially their business performance update. Companies file this kind of information to keep investors and the public informed about their results and any significant events that might affect their business. The core of this report is a press release they issued detailing some initial looks at their financial results. Think of it as a preview. We need to remember that these are preliminary numbers, so they might be adjusted slightly in the final official report, but they give us a solid idea of the direction the company is headed. The key takeaway here is that they are providing early insights into their quarterly performance. This is typical for publicly traded companies, especially when they want to manage expectations or highlight positive developments before the full financial statements are released. So what does this mean from an investor's perspective? It means we are getting an early read on how the company is performing in the most recent period. Are they hitting their targets? Are their investments paying off? These preliminary numbers help us answer those questions, at least in a general sense. Now let's talk about the story within these numbers. OFS Capital is a company that invests in other businesses. So their success is tied to the success of the companies they invest in, and also to how well they manage their own finances and investments. When we see these preliminary results, we're looking for signs that their investment strategy is working. Are the companies they've put money into growing and becoming more profitable? Is OFS Capital itself generating enough income to cover its costs and make a profit? These filings aren't always about dramatic swings. Sometimes the story is in the steady progress or the subtle shifts. For OFS Capital, because they are an investment company, we'd be looking at things like how much income they earned from their investments, how much their investments are valued at, and how they are managing their own debt and expenses. Let's imagine we had the full detailed tables. We'd be zeroing in on revenue growth from their investment portfolio, any changes in the value of their assets, and importantly, their net income. If, for example, revenue was up 10%, we'd want to understand why. Was it due to new investments, or were existing investments performing exceptionally well? If expenses were also up, say, by 15%, that could be a red flag suggesting that their costs are growing faster than their income. Think of it like a restaurant owner. They care about how many customers they're serving, how much each customer spends, and how much it costs to keep the lights on and buy ingredients. For OFS Capital, the customers are their investments, and they are looking at the returns they get from those investments, and the costs associated with managing them. While we don't have the full tables here, the fact they are releasing preliminary estimates suggests they are comfortable with the reported figures for the quarter. It's a way to proactively communicate their performance. From an outsider's perspective, Understanding companies like OFS Capital requires looking beyond just the headlines. We need to see if their strategy of investing in other businesses is sustainable and is generating consistent returns. We also need to consider the broader economic environment. If the economy is strong, the businesses OFS Capital invests in are more likely to do well. If the economy falters, so might their investments. So the big picture for OFS Capital is about smart capital allocation. Are they putting their money into the right places? Are they managing risk effectively? These preliminary results are a step in understanding that. Now, looking at these results more broadly, OFS Capital appears to be providing a snapshot of its performance. While simple preliminary numbers don't give us the full story, they do indicate the company is actively reporting its progress. The fact that they are a publicly traded company on a major exchange like Nasdaq means they operate under a certain level of scrutiny, which can be good for transparency. However, we must always be looking for the potential risks. Investing in other companies always carries the risk that those companies might not perform as expected. OFS Capital needs to demonstrate that it has a strong hand in selecting and managing its investments to mitigate these risks. In conclusion, OFS Capital Corporation, through this filing, is offering a preliminary look at its recent performance. It's a signal to the market about their operational results for the quarter. While we await the full detailed financial statements, these initial estimates provide a foundation for understanding their current standing. What's your take on these early numbers from OFS Capital? Do you think they're on the right track? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to Corporate Decoder for more. And don't forget to join our Discord community for further discussions and insights. We'll see you in the next one.